Today we're going to make this little adjustment screw. It's a little locking screw, and it's for this arm here, which we're going to make today as well. And that goes here on the model. It's this arm here, and it's the forward and reverse lever locking screw, so you can lock it into position, your forward and reverse or neutral, whatever. So that's what we're going to make today, the screw, this little screw, and this arm here. I'm not sure about putting the knurl on, but I might do, or I might do something else. We'll have to see. But anyway, that's what we're going to make today, these two little components. Right, I'm just going to get this set up now. I need 60.05 of a millimetre. Just making sure I've got room to get my parting tool in and lock it off. Oops. And then I have to turn that down. Right, that's 10 millimetres. Got to turn that down to 4 millimetres because that's the nearest I've got to 4 millimetres, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. So anyway, let's get that turned down. I'm just going to face it off, put a little centre drill in, and put a bit of tailstock relief in there, because once I get down near the 4 millimetres it's going to be wobbling everywhere. Right then. Right, I've just got that end cleaned up, put a little chamfer on it just to help it, the tap on its way, or the die on its way I should say. This is what we're making, the little rod there. It's got an M4 thread on both ends. It's 10mm on one end and 7mm on the other. We're going to do the 7mm on this end and the 10mm on the other end. The reason being, the 10mm is the bottom end, and that's got a tiny little dimple in it where I use the live centre, so that'll be better off facing down, you won't really see it then. So let's just get these M4 threads on. Right, got threads on that end. Right, we'll just flip that over and put the threads on the other end now. Put a little chamfer on to start. Alright, it's 10mm thread on that end. Just Put a little chamfer on it now. Good. There we go. 7mm on one end, 10mm on the other, and that's the little rod. That is that little rod there. So now we need to make this piece and this top brass piece. Right, we're going to make this piece next. I'll make this first part, which is 7mm by 21mm with a 4mm hole through it. And then we've got this piece, which is the spacer, and then we've got this piece, which is the thumb bolt, or the thumb screw turny thing, you know. Anyway, let's get on with that. Right, I've turned it down to 7mm all the way through, so I'm now going to turn this bit down to 4mm, put an M4 thread on it, and it's 14mm long. Wow, that's landed nicely, look. Exactly 4mm. Well, that's exactly for me anyway. Great. Get the thread on there now. I'll just put a little chamfer on that leading edge, and then I'll bring the tool in and cut the thread. Right, just put a little chamfer on there. Right, just going to part that off at 21mm. Right, just clean that face off. Right, that's that piece done. Just got to drill a hole in there so that this piece can slide up and down in there. Right, now I'm going to make the little collar, which is this piece, which forms the clamp, and then I'm going to make the screw. So let's make this piece first. That's fairly straightforward. This actually shows it being made out of 11mm stock. I haven't got any 11mm stock, and I don't think that's worth turning a bigger piece down. I'm going to use the 10mm piece I've got, and same goes for this piece, because that's got a 4mm M4 hole through there for the thread, so there'll be plenty of meat left in there for that. Well, I'm going to cut this off first, and then I'm going to drill the hole and tap it. So I'll just get my shape first and then cut it off. Right, you can see why I changed my mind, because the wall is now very thin, so that would have meant that squeezing it up in the jaws and trying to drill the hole would have deformed it. So anyway, let's get this drill out of the way and get it cut off. That will in fact now slide over there when there's a hole in there to clamp that up onto the shaft. Right, now to make this piece fairly straightforward. You can see the dimensions on there. Let's get that turned down. Right, got a 3.4 drill, and I'm going to wind that in there a good 10mm so that I've got plenty of room for the tap to chase the thread all the way down. That's good. Right, let's get this cut down and parted off. So 0 my DRO, come back 2mm for the cutter thickness, 0 again, back 3.5mm, and lock it off. Now I've got to cut that at 2.5mm wide, which is just over the width of the cutter. So I'll go in firstly. Right, I've got to cut that to a depth of 7mm, which is 3mm off. So I'll go in and cut the 7mm, and the width of the cut should be 2.5mm, but the cutter's only 2, so I'll do that first, then I'll cut the other bit, and then I'll part it off. You'll see what I mean as it goes along. It's 687. That's okay. I'm happy with that. It's only got to fit in that sleeve anyway, which it will do now. So I just move the parting tool over 0.5mm that way on the y-axis. Sorry, on the x-axis. Then I'll just trim that off 0.5mm, and then I'll part it off. There's the assembly now. There's the sleeve that goes over there. This comes in to tighten that down. As you can see, I didn't bother with the knurl. Well, it's not that I didn't bother with the knurl, it's that I forgot all about it, and it's not big enough now to put back in to put a knurl on it, but it's perfectly fine for this job anyway. So anyway, what I've got to do now is put a little flat on there, drill a 4mm hole through there. So we need to go over to the mill for that, and we're also going to make the brass which connects it to the steam chest. What I'm going to do to be able to drill that is I'm going to hold it in a 4mm collet. It won't damage the threads will be fine in there. So I can set that up in the collet, set the collet in there, and I know that that's going to be perpendicular, the hole will be perpendicular to the piece. It doesn't matter where I drill it on there, because it doesn't matter as long as it's in the centre. So I'll just edge find that, get the bit in the centre, put a small router bit in, and then put a flat on there. Now we just want to get the problem is I've got to punch a 4mm hole through there. I've only got one 4mm collet, and that's holding the part. So I'm going to have to come up with something, not quite sure what yet. Right, I've gone over 3.5mm, so I'm just going to put a flat on there. Hopefully my 5mm collet should squeeze up to 4. Let's just lower that down a bit so the drill bit doesn't fall out while I tighten that up. Let's have a look. Yeah, it seems to have got it. Fingers crossed. Good job. Right, there you go. That's slides in there now. That collar goes on there and tightens up on there. Not quite sure what they called up this size on there. It doesn't really need to be that big. I might cut that down a bit actually when I put the model together. I'll see how it looks. It seems to be sticking out more than necessary. There is a reason for it. There's a reason for that sticking out more than necessary, because in between this part we've got the arm, of course. The control arm's got to go on there, so that's why it's called up for that length. Good job I didn't cut it down. Right, this is what we're going to be making now, which is the brass piece there. It's 7mm by 7mm by 14 millimeters. I've got a little bit of brass in the mill. I'm going to mill that down to the required size, drill the holes, and then work out how to put these rounds on. I don't really want to put that back in the rotary table for, you know, set the whole rotary table up for that, so I may just file them. Right, we've got to reduce this section down to 3.5 millimeters. Right, so we've come over 7 millimeters. Over in the x-axis, 7 millimeters. We've left 7 millimeters in. Well, that's what it should be, if my calculations are correct. Not necessarily mean they are, but I don't look how far out. And we should have 3.5 millimeters left in, because we've taken 3.5 millimeters out. Right, in the flat here we've got to have a 4 millimeter clearance hole. Right, I've centered the drill. Let's cut that hole in there now. Right, we got the finished article here now. Where are we? That way round. There's the little stop, and that goes, this is what we've just made, that's the little brass piece that fixes onto the side of the steam chest. Comes down here, the adjusting part goes onto the slider for the lever for the forward and reverse gear. This comes down here and has just like a dome nut on the end. I'm not quite sure why that's like that. Whether something else goes on there or not, I don't know, but I can't see anything. Here we have the pieces. That's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. I would also appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button, because that will enable me to grow the channel so that I can keep making these videos. Please leave a comment or a question. I do read all of the comments and reply to as many as I can. Thanks for watching.